loops. So basically it was about if loop. So this is basically a if loop syntax wherein if you perform certain expression, if it evaluates to true, do certain action under it, else do something else. Oh sorry, else evaluate another expression and then do something if that expression is true. And at the end you can do more if else, if else, if else if you want. And then at the end, if when you want to terminate the loop, it will be end if as a keyword. So that was if loop syntax. For loop, I think it would be better if you go in the content builder and see in the email, yeah, instead of just going through this PPT. So I'll just take you to that email. Okay, let me see if this is the if loop. The reason I'm taking some time is AMP is important and it takes some time. So hence I'm actually doing a quick refresher compared to a detailed refresher compared to what I have done in the past. What happened? This tab is not populating for some reason. It might take some time, but this content tab which I wanted to show you for if loop, but probably not because other tabs are actually populating. Let me try something else. Wow, this is also not downloading. See, everything else is happening. I don't know why content is not getting downloaded. Anything. If I go to properties tab, still opening. That's weird. Test insert. Let me see, open this one. Oops, I don't know what has happened. This content wala tab is not opening. Did you see? In any emails, it's not opening. Preview is working. If I go back to properties, this tab is opening. But for content, I don't know why it's taking so much time. I don't know. What I'll do is I'll just quickly wait over here. But this is just another day in Salesforce Marketing Cloud world. After some time, it was correct. Yeah, so it opened. Okay, so let me go back and select the one that I wanted to talk about. So this is a simple form of if loop. Again, I'm just wondering if I can increase the size from here. Probably not. Okay, let it be. So what I'm doing is basically this is a if loop. Okay, and what I'm doing is I'm just evaluating for the first one. I'm evaluating if the customer ID equals to a certain number, in this case 123. Then keyword again, do an action. So what action is doing? Bangalore, it's assigning Bangalore to city variable. Else if not that, then it's evaluating another variable. Is customer ID greater than 123? Then do another action. Else if customer ID is less than 123, then do this action. Once the loop has, you want to terminate the loop, in that case use end if, and then this is a block. This is a typical if loop that I have utilized over here. It's a very simple example. You can build on that. So that was, I wanted to talk about if loop. Let me go to a for one. I think it was this one. I just need to check which one was that. No, this is the same one. Wow, I'm still opening the same email. It's embarrassing. Yes, so this is the for loop. So this is a simple for loop that I'm running. So what it is doing is it's running from I, which is set as 1, I variable. I'm just jumping into the loop directly. I'm talking about the loop, not the logic over here, which is written in this particular piece of code. So just look at the only technical logic over here. I'm assigning I equals to 1. So basically what for loop is used for, traversing through a certain data set, certain values. So if I, as a data extension, I extract 10 rows, it'll go in each the row 10 times, it'll run this loop. So in this case, for example, if there are 10 rows to be traversed, this I, it'll run from I to row count. Row count is a variable that we have got the value in top. Let's say for simplicity's sake, in our example, it's 10. So this whole loop will run 10 times, starting from I to I row count. First time it will be, let's say 10. So I value is 1. Now you do certain operations over here. What operations I'm doing is, I equals 1. I'm fetching first row. since I is one, first row out of that 10 rows, and assigning it to row, from rows to row. And then from that row, I'm extracting first name and putting it in this over here. In that one single row again, I'm extracting the email address value and putting it over here. And that is what I'm doing. Okay. And once I do this, I equals I plus one. I think it was next. There was something next I, the logic or the syntax. Just double check. Next I, yes, it was next I. So this would be to make the changes. Yeah. So, and then once it is in this I1 and is doing these operations, we are just making sure it's printing something. So whatever the first name and the email address you are getting from that one single row, it's printing that. And then next I, the counter moves, I counter moves to 2. Now again, it becomes for I equals, in this case, it becomes 2, I value. And then it starts running. Again, does the same operation, but I value is 2. So it will fetch the second row, does the same operations in row number 2 and prints the value. So that is what for loop is about. Okay, so that is in a nutshell for loop. Now there were some operations about for data extensions. So if the use case is of the sorts that you want to update a value in a data extension based on certain logic that you have written, so basically from code itself you can update the data extensions or insert a data extension, delete records in data extension. Upsert is a combination of update and insert. So if it doesn't find a record, it will insert that. So that is upsert. So these 3-4 operations we saw yesterday. So you need to be aware of doing it properly, because if there is an error, the email won't be sent. Okay, so we'll quickly have a look at the example. Okay, so this is a simple statement that I have written to upsert. Okay, what I'm doing is basically I'm assigning these two variables values, absolute values here only, and I've written a query upsert. Upsert in this data extension test d insert, wherein the first is the fetching value. So first key and value pair, this one is the value which is required to fetch the data, and this is the one. After that, all the key value pairs will be the ones in which you are updating the data or inserting the data, as the case may be. So in this case, upsert select email, where email equals this. No, actually I'm saying it wrong, so let me not put it in an SQL language, considering you guys also are not very much well versed in it. So what it's doing is this data extension, it's fetch me in this data extension the data wherein you have email equals this email. In this case, it's this value. Okay, and then update the other one, update the name column in that with this value. So in this case, it will update with this value. That's it. So that is the operation. So just let me quickly test and show it to you, and also make sure I need to prepare my data extensions properly, because it shouldn't throw an error. So I need to go to this one. What I'm planning to do is, in this data extension, I'm fetching with this. Okay, so it will fetch the record in which email equals this one, and once it is done, I'll update the name field of that particular row with this one. Okay, so let's see that. I need to, if you remember, I mentioned it, you need to send an email to see this operation happening. You cannot preview that. So I need to send an email to myself in this case. Just making sure I'm not sending it to unwanted people. So right now the email has been sent, and I need to wait for the email to arrive, and in the meantime the data will get upserted or updated in this data extension. So that is what I wanted to show you, and as I said, if there is an error, email won't be triggered. You got to take care of it as well. It has to be there. And if I mean, it's this is an advanced level question, but just in case you are interested, you need to then cache that error. In order to cache that error, you need to put some server-side JavaScripting try and catch blocks in your code beforehand, so that if this operation doesn't work, how do you handle that? So if you see, this is the email that I have got just now, 0 minutes ago. This is the email. So email I have got. Let's go and check it in the system whether the data has been updated with the name value as monks. Let me refresh that. Doesn't happen. Test insert. Let me do refresh from here. Did you see that? Yes. I'm feeling it's very Sannata. Nilbate Sannata happening. Talk. Somebody talk.
Yes, yes, we see that the name changed.
Yeah, so basically what I've done is I'm fetching the email from this one, and when I get this email field value, I go and update this with monks. That's what I've done. So upsert. In case if there is an error which is not syntax, and if the operation fails, the email won't be triggered. Okay, so that is what I wanted to talk to you about. So we did if loop, for loop, and we had seen these data operations, and your best friend in this case is amp script guide. So that is your best friend. It gives you examples as well. And if you are getting too much brave in amp script, there are a lot of other functions, like as I told about integrations and server side scripting, as I said, try and catch blocks and all those things. If you want to do work on that advanced level, the content is still here. Okay.
Okay, so will it just return the values which are as it is in the D, or will it just change their format or anything?
So it will be actually you need to be very careful in order to select something. So if the selection criteria is not case sensitive, so for example, if you write all caps test, it would be different than all small test, like that. So if you want to go to that level, so let's see an example. If not yet I've mentioned it, that is the example. So this is the example. What is doing? Loyalty member return rank descending, first ascending, region. So it's traversing first name. So there's not much difference, to be honest, compared to that, but the variation of this function treats selection values as case sensitive. So as I said, if you're selecting an email address, the email has to be very specific in terms of case sensitiveness. So that is the only difference while searching.
Okay, I got it.
So there's not much difference, to be honest. There's only CS thing is there. Okay.